Alright guys, so yesterday I got some miles in the Adizero SL2 here. Really impressed with it. It's going to come for the crown. It's going to be a tough summer in this segment. Do some nice comparisons. Rebel V4 with the Adizero SL2, Hoka Mach 6. But a lot of the questions were not about the Rebel V4 or Hoka Mach 6, but rather how does the Adizero SL2 compare to the Boston 12? So today in this video, we're going to do a head-to-head comparison between these two guys. I'll let you know all of the key differences, sizing, fit, feel, midsole, and which one of these you guys should get. And the other reason I wanted to do this is because Boston 12 is on sale at a lot of places right now and puts right up against the SL2 when it comes to price. So one of my favorite shoes of all time, actually, 300 miles, brand new shoe here, contender for Daily Trainer of the Year. This is going to be a fun one, guys. I'm going to finish my Oreo and then let us get into it. Alright guys, so this comparison today is brought to you by our friends over at Crocs. I've been rocking with the Mellow Recovery Slide. Probably the most comfortable thing I've ever put on my foot to wear inside the house. It's like the New Balance 1080. Very soft, very squishy. If you want something that's going to keep you nice and cozy boy vibes for the summer, go ahead and pick up your Crocs Recovery Slide using my links. Now, let's get into the Boston 12 versus SL2. We actually might need to move to the backyard because little kitty corner neighbor over there absolutely putting in work on that ride-along mower. So let's pop to the backyard, see if we can get some better noise prevention. She's putting in work though. Shout out to her. Wow, that yellow just matches the grass. We're gonna have to do it the other way. That's a little better. Here we go. Bada boom. All right, guys, there are positives and negatives of living out here in the burbs, and the relentless lawnmower noise is definitely one of them. But I think this is a little bit better out here in the backyard. So let's do a quick overview of both of these shoes. So this is the Boston 12. This guy's been out for a while. This is a marathon training tank. It's got the Light Strike Pro and the Light Strike. It's designed for speed and long miles. So in it, you got the bouncier race day foam on top. You got a firmer, more stable foam on the bottom. And then you have energy rods in here to add a little bit more structure and a little bit more zing to the shoe so that it's not as squishy. And then you also have the Continental rubber outsole. Now, Adizero SL2, this guy just came out, and the formula in the midsole is actually quite similar to what we see in the Boston 12. So in this guy, you have the Light Strike, see right here, and then you have the Light Strike Pro. Let's see where we are. We got to find it. It's like hide and go seek with these things sometimes. Light Strike Pro right here inside. So Light Strike Pro, that's the race foam. And this guy, you have that wrapped inside of the carrier versus this stacked format in the Boston 12. So that's the first key difference, right? Both of these shoes have the same two foams, but this guy has the inside out. This guy has the stack on top. And then in this guy, I'm saying this guy a lot, SL2, there are no rods, there's no plate. That makes it really flexible. This is a very flexible and soft feeling shoe. And if you just look at this, I did this yesterday. Look how much flex and squish I'm getting out of this foam here in the SL2 versus the Boston 12. I can flex it a little bit, especially up in the forefoot, but just because it has these rods in here, you're not going to get as much flex and you're not going to get as much squish because the rods prevent your foot from going as deep down into the foam. So SL2, the new guy on the market, right? Priced at $130. This is designed to be an everyday running shoe. It's designed to go up against shoes like the Saucony Ride 17, the Puma Velocity Nitro 3, the Nike Pegasus 41. It's designed to be something you can pull for every day, that's comfortable, that's versatile, and versus the category, it's supposed to be a little bit more on the fast and fun side. So that's where the race foam comes in. And then it's also designed to be a little bit more on the affordable side. So first generation of this was $120. Number 2 here, can you see that? Adizero SL2 in the chrome. This is $130. Still undercutting most of the market. The next cheapest one is the Puma Velocity Nitro 3. That's at $135. Everything else is $140. Pegasus is actually $130 as well. So this is going head to head with the Pegasus. So that is the SL2. Boston 12, MSRP of this guy is $160. It's really designed to go up against Saucony Endorphin Speed 4, maybe even New Balance SC Trainer V2, Puma Deviate Nitro 2. These more speed-oriented, true speed-oriented marathon training shoes that combine elements of long-distance training with speed. So the carbon fiber rods or the glass fiber rods, that's for speed, and then race day foam, of course, that's for speed and for endurance. So on paper, Adizero SL2, this should be the everyday mile shoe, and this should be more of a workout shoe. But with the way a lot of runners, especially marathon training runners, are using these products, a shoe like the Boston 12 could be your daily trainer. You could pull for it for your everyday miles, but I think there's some differences here, and especially some weaknesses on the Boston 12 that might not make it the best option as a daily trainer. So first, let's dive into the upper here, because that's going to be one of the key differences between these two. So the Adizero SL here, or the 2, this has a little bit more padding around the upper, and if you look at the back here, you'll see we got a nice bit of structure in the heel counter without it being overly cumbersome or too stiff. Versus Boston 12, you don't really have any structure here, and it can be a little bit loosey-goosey. So I'm actually going to put this on, and I'll do a little bit of a ride test at the end here. But look at this, very loose in the upper and not a lot of structure, which makes this a really lightweight shoe, an easy to clean shoe. It sheds water a ton, and you can see it's in really good shape for 300 miles. But for some runners, they don't get the best fit and feel with the upper, which again makes it not a shoe that you might want to pull for every day. So SL2 here, you get a little bit more padding around the upper. I had a good fit. There was a little bit of bunching. We'll see if we get that when we lace it up later today, but there was nothing that was too constricting about this shoe. And on the contrary, or on the other side, there's nothing that was too tight about this shoe either. However, toe box on the upper, Boston 12, a little bit wider, Adizero SL, a little bit narrower. So it's odd because both of these shoes are part of that Adizero collection from Adidas. You can see right on the tongue, Adizero, but they have different fits. The Boston 12 is a lot wider in the toe box, and the Adizero SL2 is a lot narrower. I don't know why they do that. They're both Adizero, but that's what they did here. So this is going to be a little bit better if you have a narrow foot. I also do know they're coming out with a wide. Actually, that's not confirmed by Adidas, and they don't answer my emails, so who knows, but I'm 99% sure they'll come out with a wide. They had a wide in this in the first generation. It's probably not going to come in this cool lucid lemon colorway. It's a bright lime green. I'm not really sure how it's going to show up on your camera, but it is a bright lime green here. They're probably only going to have the black and white in the wide, but in this colorway, it is pretty sick, and it also is pretty narrow. I do have to say, though, I have a little bit of a wider foot myself. I don't go for the wide fitting shoes, but I didn't have any of the rubbing here that I could tend to have in some of the Sauconys. So it is an overall more streamlined vibe than the Boston 12, but it was not an uncomfortable fit in the SL2. And in the Boston 12, I have enough room up here in the toe box. Now, heading down to the outsole, this is going to be a key difference between these guys as well. So the Adizero SL2, this has standard rubber. Boston 12 has that Continental rubber. So Continental, this is the tire company. It is a very sticky rubber. I've trenched through pouring rainstorms, 20-mile long runs, all kinds of shenanigans in this shoe, and handle it really well. And you can see at 300 miles here, this outsole looks pure, clean, untouched. So really durable compound here on the outside of the shoe. Really durable compound, actually. All the tech in the shoe is durable. From the material they use to make the upper, to the Light Strike Pro here, to the Light Strike 2.0. Everything about the Boston 12 is very durable, and that actually is my main concern with the SL2. And it's not a question we're going to answer today, but because this foam is so soft, I mean, I just have to look at this little squeeze and squish here. Because this foam is so soft, that is my one concern. How is this shoe going to hold up with a bunch of miles? The thing is, I've already had a bunch of people, half a dozen people, tell me, oh, I got the shoe for $90 with my Audi Club points. If you seek out deals on this shoe, you probably will never have to pay over $100 for it. So I'm sure you could get it to $300 and then pay another $90 and get a new pair if you love it. So durability is probably going to be a little bit worse with the SL2 just because the softness of the foam. I actually do think the rubber compound is 90% of what you're getting in the Continental here, because this is the same rubber compound that was on the SL1. I did a bunch of rainy runs in that too. That shoe had 285 miles on it. So no concerns here with the standard. Whoa, Titanic, we going down. Man, I hope you guys know the mosquitoes are out here putting in the work on me right now, but we are, nevertheless, he persisted, man. Rubber is good in here. Yeah, I don't have any concerns with it. This should go for a decent amount of time here. And especially with how thick of a layer you're getting, you're going to be golden. Now, I talk about trade-offs a lot on this channel, and one of the trade-offs typically with having more rubber on a shoe like this is you have more weight. This comes in at 265 grams in my size, roughly the same weight as the Boston 12. So these are both decently lightweight shoes. The Boston 12 might feel actually a little bit more robust, and I think that's because it's a little bit bottom heavy almost. The upper is very minimal. You don't have any padding in the upper, so a lot of the weight is coming from the very bottom of the shoe, where you have the heaviest element is this bright white foam down here. And I think that's why the shoe can read a little bit as awkward and clunky to some people who don't get along with the foam at first, because you do have a little bit more of that heavy foam on the bottom, the lightweight on the top. Some people don't get the best fit. Versus this, the weight is more evenly distributed. You have the more structured upper here, and then with the way that they've set up the midsole, you have the Dent Light Strike Pro, the softest foam in the middle, and then the firmer foam, which is going to be the heavier compound, wrapping around the whole thing. So overall, the shoe feels a little bit more cohesive, at least so far to me. It feels like the weight is evenly distributed. They've done a really nice job making everything come together here. Boston 12, it does take some time for the shoe to melt and meld together. It's like a fine Indian tarka or a fine masala. You got to give it time, and oftentimes with those things, right, or a lasagna, better on the second day than it is on the first day. That's how I feel about the Boston 12. This is a shoe that takes a little bit of time for all the pieces to come together and work well. The midsole needs to congeal, it needs to soften up. You need to start seeing some creases in here. So this is not a shoe that blew me away out of the box. It felt clunky, it felt awkward, it felt a little bit stiff, it felt a little bit rigid. I didn't know what all the hype was about. But then as I started getting some more miles on the shoe, as I started understanding how I could best use it, I fell in love with it, and that's why it was my favorite marathon training shoe for a long time, until the Skyward X came. That shoe leans a little bit slower. This is still up there for favorite fast marathon workout shoes, because the way that the shoe is designed with the midsole foam, you get a lot of the Light Strike Pro right up at the forefoot. So when running faster and popping off here with some power, you get a lot of bounce. So this shoe is the one that I prefer out of all the plated training shoes on the market. I love this for fast running. I do not love it for everyday miles, even when I'm running at a 7:30 pace. If you're running your everyday miles at a 6:30 or 6:40, you might like this, or if you're putting in some more power to the shoe. For me, I personally feel like it's not the best option at slower paces. SL2 here, because of how soft it is, and that's the key character of this midsole, soft and squishy. I think more people are going to like this one for everyday miles because it's a little bit friendlier. Right out of the box, I didn't have to break it in. I got one run in it so far. We're going to lace it up here for a little comparison test, but I got one run in it so far, and it wasn't... Man, these mosquitoes, you can see them on camera too. But yeah, one run in it. It did not require any break-in. I'm getting absolutely chewed, so let's lace these things up. I want to do a head-to-head jog test. More than a jog test, some strides, and I want to see how both of these do with some faster pace and also a little just fit and feel comparison. So first, let's do that. Let's get one on each foot, and I want to do live fit insights, and then I can end by telling you who I think these are both best for. Let's do it. Alright guys, so I'm going to lace up this Boston 12 on the left, Adizero SL on the right, and keep in mind, Boston 12 has 300 miles, so this is not a fresh pair, but that also means I have 300 miles worth of insights on it. So at this stage of its life cycle, it is completely molded around my feet. So when I step into it now, I do have a nice soft step in. I feel like I could walk around in this thing, but that was not the case out of the box. And if you are looking at either of these for walking or general use, I would 100% go with the SL2. The Adidas is more the Boston is definitely more of a performance shoe for running, for fast running, for long runs. If you want something for around town, everyday use with gym, with some running, that's the SL2. Again, if you want treadmill, short runs, 30 minutes, something that you could wear to the coffee shop, that's the SL2. Now, in terms of the fit here, just stepping into them, Boston 12 feels a lot more cushioned, especially in the forefoot. Yeah, the SL2 feels a little bit more streamlined. Boston 12 feels more cushioned. I also have more of a noticeable rocker profile on the Boston. If you look at this, yeah, look here, you can see how the Boston 12 curves up versus the SL2. It's pretty flat. I don't get as much of that toe pointing up, that toe spring feeling in the SL2. SL2 generally just feels like a little bit more of a normal sneaker. Now, if we're thinking about stability, the Boston 12, though, it feels so much more robust. This heel feels way chunkier in the Boston 12. You can see off the back, the heel is hanging off a little bit more. Versus the SL2, it cuts off a little bit sooner. We also have a lot wider base in the Boston. Take a look at this. Boston is chunkier, wider. It extends farther back. It's got the caboose. I haven't even been talking about the cabooses a lot. The caboose. Is it caboose or caboose? Cabooses or caboose? Either way, Boston 12 has the caboose. SL doesn't feel like as much of a caboose. It feels narrower. And something about what they've done on the bottom here, I think with this bigger cutout in the SL2, makes it feel squishier. Yeah, as I'm squishing these down here, and it's ironic because you can see on the Boston 12, it says Light Strike 2.0. On the SL2, they're now just calling it Light Strike. I think that's because the initial Light Strike that they had in the Adizero SL in the Boston 11 was super firm. So they had to tell people, okay, it's now Light Strike 2.0. Forget about that firm stuff. But now in the Boston 12, everybody knows it's Light Strike 2.0. It's good. So they've dropped the 2.0 and they're just calling it Light Strike again because we don't need to do the numbers on our foams. So a little bit softer overall though in the SL. Man, this is a soft shoe. Let's do a little bit of a walk test here. Yeah, man, SL2, so much softer and smoother. When the heel hits on the SL2, it just rolls me right along because of how soft it is, and there's not even that much of a rocker on the SL2. The Boston 12, when I land in the heel or just walk in the heel, it is this very firm, planted feel. And it's not necessarily clunky to me, but it definitely feels a little bit more of that bottom heavy, ground heavy, like it's holding me down a little bit. So I love the Boston 12. I saw a negative on it, but if you're looking for that walking shoe, smoother experience, SL2, 100%. This shoe is way more comfortable on foot. The upper is also more comfortable. It fits better. Look at this. You can see none of that bunching right here today. Supwell certified, no flop knot. Nice padded tongue. The tongue on the Boston 12 is not padded. The laces go right through the upper. There's none of this weird, I do not like these weird lacing systems these brands do sometimes. And the fit isn't too bad. And someone said Adidas said to go half a size up. They said, so I'm a 10.5. Look, my toe is right here. You see where this little overlay is? My toe is right here. My big toe ends here. 10.5 in the Adizero SL2. In the Boston 12, my toe ends right here. So these fit basically the same. So whatever size works for you in the Boston 12, I would get that size in the Adizero SL2. So let's go pop down to the street. I want to do a little stride test wearing both of these shoes, and then maybe a stride test wearing each of them respectively. You guys like that word? Respectively. That means separate. Do one and then we do the other. And then these colors are just fire, bro. Fire. Adidas, man. I've said this before, but look at this. We got to get the, bang. Yeah, Adidas's color game, unmatched right now. Unmatched. Lucid Lemon and then Lucid Cyan. Bang. And then look at this bone. This is the Crocs bone colorway. Bang. Put some respect on the Crocs recovery slide. Ufos who? Just kidding. I might have to delete that. Pull up with that Roundup, bro. Those weeds don't stand a chance. All right, city outside. What did Kendrick say? Back outside is a must. Hey, so this is how we're gonna kick it off. A little quick jog test. Adidas Adizero Boston 12 versus Adidas Adizero SL2. You already know who it's brought to you by. Go smash that link below. Quick jog test. Let's get it in. Oh man, they're back. Now they're tag teaming it. Oh gosh. Alright, we're just gonna rock with it. So SL2 here, on the left-right comparison, softer, way softer. I'm sinking down into this foam more, I'm getting more squish, but that's not all. I'm also getting a little bit more ground feel, which is not always the case with the softer shoe versus a firmer shoe, but in this case, it is. This shoe does not feel as protective as the Boston 12. So I think the way it's shaping out to be here, and we're gonna do a little bit more of a test here, but this is the one that's a little bit firmer, a little bit more supportive, a little bit better for bigger runners, a little bit more stability. This is the one that's a little bit squishier, leans a little bit more fun, leans a little bit shorter distances, but also more ground feel up here, and overall less protective. So now we did the quick jog test. I'm gonna do a quick strides test. So I'm not even gonna turn my watch on, but a few fast sprints down the street with the left, right, and then I'll do a few fast sprints in each of them. Let's do it. So one of the main complaints people had with the Boston 12 and this midsole, as I said, it takes a little bit of time to break in, to soften up. It's not just that, it's always been a shoe for me that it requires me to really put something into it to get something out of it. So again, it's not a shoe that I want to use for my everyday miles when I'm just taking it easy, because it's not going to give me a whole lot of benefit. I'd rather have something like Saucony Ride on my foot even, or I'm trying to think of another shoe that's not my favorite, but this is not my favorite for everyday miles. I need to be putting power down into the forefoot to get something out of it. That is not the case with the SL2. You can be hanging back in this shoe and it gives you balance. And then as I picked it up here, this one was, as I said yesterday, unbridled joy. A lot bouncier without having to try. So this is the more fun one overall, especially out of the box. This is a little bit more serious, and you gotta work to get that bounce. So work either through more power, more force, more miles, so a better long run shoe. As you get more time on feet in the shoe, you're gonna get that benefit, or through being a heavier runner, that's putting more work, more force down in to the front of the shoe. So with that, guys, I'm gonna switch into the Adizero SL, do a few fast strides, see how that is responding, and then we'll do Boston 12, and then we'll close it out here. Let's do it. So if you think shoes have gotten too boring, too stable, everything now is, it has a plate, or the stack is too high, it's not fun, the Adizero SL2 is the answer to all those complaints. It doesn't feel like too much cushion. It feels simple, but really fun.
I don't know how they've done it with this shoe, especially at the price point. 100%, this is the most fun shoe for $130 or $140, but it has that unbridled joy, that pure fun that you want in a shoe, similar to a Rebel V3, but just a little bit more stack. I think a little bit less ground feel in that shoe, and a little bit more bounce in that shoe. This shoe makes me want to try the Primex Strung, because this seems like maybe it's a streamlined version of that shoe. So, all right, let's do a little strides test with the SL2 here. Man, this thing is like a vanilla softie on a hot Carolina afternoon, which I could really go for some vanilla ice cream right now. It is, what is it? 86 degrees. Put some respect on our comparison testing in the 86 degree heat. So yeah, it's fun, it's sweet, it's sugary, it's tantalizing. It's everything you want a shoe to be right out of the box. It is so fun. That is the headline of this shoe. So fun. Isn't that the Young Thug album title? So much fun. Free Thug, by the way. Free slime. So much fun. That's the shoe. That's what we're gonna call it. Also, that album was bright green. That's what we're gonna call the SL2. So much fun. That's really what it is. Boston 12 here. I don't know if anybody would say out of the box that the shoe is so much fun. And then thinking about a shoe like the Hoka Skyward X, which is now my favorite shoe for marathon training, because when I train for marathons, what I'm doing now, I just pour a ton of miles on. And I want something that feels fun and feels protective and feels stable for everyday miles. You saw a little tap dance there, trying to get into the shoe. And Boston 12 is not fun, really. It is more of a serious, streamlined shoe. And even look at the design of this guy. They didn't design it to look fun. They designed it to look fast. So with that, let's see how it does with some faster strides here. All right, we got some pretty good insights on these guys here. And I do think this Boston 12 is at the end of its life, so I want to be mindful of that. the foam isn't as lively as it once was, but it still has the core of what it used to be. What's that expression? I might not be as good as I once was, but I can be as good as I was once. I'm not at that point in my career, but maybe in 10 years, that's what I'll say. But all right, let's get this final wrap up in. Let's do it, baby. All right, guys, so Boston 12 versus Adizero SL here, and it pains me to say this, but I think the SL2 here, this is gonna be the one that most people want to buy. I don't know why it pains me to say this. They're both great shoes. I just have a special place in my heart for this shoe because I have it at 300 miles. I put so many great workouts in it, but I think most people, the preference is going to be this one. It's softer out of the box. It's more fun. It's bouncier. You don't have to work to make it feel good. You don't have to work to feel that benefit. And as I was doing the strides over here, no matter how I was landing, whether I was focusing on popping up the forefoot or just mashing and trying to run fast, it felt great. It felt smooth. There's none of that bottom heavy feeling. There's none of that clunkiness. It's the OG and the Malibu, but there's none of that clunkiness that you might feel from the heel of the Boston 12. So this is gonna take the cake if you want something more protective. It's a little bit more serious, a little bit more buttoned up. It feels, not even a little bit, it does feel a lot more cushioned in the forefoot. And you can see the stacks here aren't hugely different, but I'm wondering if you're getting a lot more of the Adizero or the Light Strike Pro up here in the forefoot than in the Adizero SL2 here. Something about it just feels way more protective in the forefoot. So if you want a taller cushioned feel, that's the Boston 12 out of these two. This is definitely not a soft cushion cruiser. That would be the Skyward X, that would be Triumph 21, that would be SC Trainer V2, but out of these two, this has more of that long distance cruiser feel to it. This is more of a short, peppy, poppy shoe. Now, the one area I have not tested on the Adizero SL2, full disclosure, because yesterday we did a nice steady run, today we did some strides. I have not tested it over an hour yet. However, I can tell you right now, Boston 12 is a great long run shoe. As I said, this is a shoe that rewards you for working with it. So as you put more miles in the shoe, as you get more time on feet, whether that's throughout the life of the shoe or in one run, the Boston 12 really comes alive. So if you're looking for a shoe to do 20-mile long runs, I would go Boston 12 out of these two. It's not gonna feel as good in the first 8 miles, but the last back half, the last 12 miles of that run, your feet are gonna thank you for having the Boston 12 on it, and this Light Strike Pro really does work well in here for longer runs. With this guy, I haven't taken it past 8 miles, but even yesterday at the end of that run, I was feeling it was a little bit soft, a little bit squishy and unstable for my liking for going long. I don't love super soft shoes for a long run, and this does qualify as super soft. This is the softest shoe I have tested this year, the softest shoe that's come out this year. It's not even close. It is way softer than anything else I've tried. It might even be softer than the 1080. And that's saying a lot. It's just, this is soft and bouncy, which is impressive. So if you want soft and bouncy, that's this guy. It's more fun, it's more squishy. It also is less stable. So that's a consideration and concern. But I think that answered all your questions. Adizero SL2, this is an absolute banger. I can't wait to put it up against the Mach 6 and Rebel V4. I think those are the two main shoes we need to see, because those right now are sitting above this just because they've gone through the testing. They've gone through the double days in the case of the Hoka Mach 6. Rebel V4 has gone through double days, long runs, and I've gotten up to 100 miles. So we've got to see how this does on a double day, how it does on a long run. But if you're looking for something for those 30 to 40 minute everyday runs, you don't need a ton of stability, you don't need a ton of support. You want something bright and vibrant and poppy and fun, like some vanilla softy soft serve. That's going to be this guy here. So I hope that was helpful. Drop any other questions below. I will check your comments from, I'm still getting chewed up, but I'll check your comments from yesterday, make sure I answered all your questions. And if I did, I'll see you tomorrow. If I didn't, I'll flip this thing back on and answer the rest of your questions. So have a nice day, guys. I'll see you tomorrow. Oh, one last thing I was gonna say. With this shoe, you really do get most benefit landing up in the forefoot. You can see how they've designed the foam here. With this guy, I didn't feel that I had to land in the forefoot or land in a particular way for it to work. I think I said a variation of that, but I did want to say, if you are a strong forefoot striker and you are a strong runner and you run with some power, you're gonna like this. This might bottom out a little bit. That is my one concern. I'm thinking this might be one of those bottom out type of shoes, so stay tuned
I want to emphasize that. Stay tuned for the double day and long run testing on this bad boy, but fun, fast, and squishy.